now with you.
Objectives. By the end, you should be able to define function, state the parts of a function, explain how to insert functions, list the categories of functions, describe how to search for a specific function. Functions form a very important part in Excel. It is what makes Excel one of the most powerful productivity software suites available for business use. Function is nothing but a predefined formula that performs calculations using specific values provided by the user and in a particular order. Excel includes many common functions like sum, average, count, etc., which are performed on a range of cells. Now, in order to use functions correctly, one needs to understand the different parts of a functions and how to create arguments to calculate values and cell references. Now let's see what the parts of a function are. In order for a function to work correctly, it must be written in specific way. The way in which it is written is called as a syntax. The basic syntax of a function is as follows. You have to write equal sign in a cell where we want a function. Then the function name. For example, we can use sum, we can use average, and one or more arguments. Arguments are nothing but references to the cells, which contain information that we want to calculate. A function in an example given below would add the values of the cell A1 to A20. Arguments can refer to both individual cells and to cell ranges as we wanted in the parenthesis. One can use a single argument or multiple arguments depending on our requirement. Let us take a small example to demonstrate this. I have written some random numbers in these cells. Now if I want to calculate some of these cells which are highlighted, I would write equal to sum, open parenthesis, select the cells with the mouse, close parenthesis, and enter. Now here, what Excel has done is, it has added all these numbers. If we look at the formula bar over here at the top, it is summing up this cell. Now this is a type of a single argument. What if I want a number of arguments to be added in a function? That's easily possible. Let's look at the same example. What if I want to add these numbers with these two numbers and this number? I would write in this cell equal to sum, open parenthesis. With my mouse, I am selecting these cells. I will put a comma, select the other cells, put a comma, and select the last cell. With close parenthesis, I would press enter. Now here, I can see that I can add a number of arguments and calculate these values. This was a simple way to add few numbers. Now Excel has about 100 different types of functions in it. Do I have to memorize all the functions in order to use them? Not really. Excel has a simple way to go about it. It has classified the functions in different categories. On the top ribbon, you can go to the Formulas tab, and below the Formulas tab, we can see that there are more number of functions which are categorized as AutoSum, recently used, financial, logical, text-related functions, date and time-related functions, lookup and reference, mathematics and trigonometry, and more functions. So with this tab, we can easily figure out which functions we want to use. One can insert a function by looking from these categories or by selecting Insert Function and searching for the function that we want. Once we start making our own functions, it could become easier for us to memorize few recently used functions, and we would be able to quickly form functions right from the Excel sheet just the way I showed you. Summary: you have learned what is a function, parts of a function, inserting functions, categories of functions, searching for a function. Objectives: by the end, you should be able to use logical functions and if, not, and or. Use a combination of functions. Use nested if functions. Use the sum and average functions. Use the autosum icon. Use the formula text function. Use the SUMIF and SUMIFS functions. Analyze functions using the functions argument window. Now, we will see how to use some of the logical functions that I have mentioned in Excel, like and, if, not, or. And we will try to get some interesting outputs out of them by mixing one function with the other. In the sense, we will use an if function inside another if function, or we'll try a combination of an or and function together and see what interesting output we can make. Let us begin. Let us consider an example. I like to order number of things online, even groceries. And I like to keep a track of when I order them and when I receive them, and the total cost that I spent on them. And now, here is my food supply inventory. I have ordered some tomatoes, black beans, all-purpose flour, etc. And the quantity for the same I have mentioned with price per unit. Now what I want to do is to calculate the total cost. So I would write equal to quantity, that is cell B3, into price per unit, that is cell C3, and hit on enter. After getting the total cost, I would select this cell and clicking on this small box with the left mouse button. I would drag it down till the last cell. And I can see that Excel has calculated the total of all the quantity and the price and has given me the total cost of each. Next is, I want to know how many items have I ordered. So in this cell, I would write equal to sum, open bracket, and select all these cells, close bracket, and enter. Now I get the number of items that I have ordered. Another way to go about this is by going to the top over here and selecting this auto sum button. It automatically understands how many cells above it to include for calculating the total, and it is showing over here with the dotted lines moving around the cells selected. I will simply hit on enter and I can see the total quantity ordered. Average price per unit can be calculated by writing equal to AVERAGE, average, open bracket, and selecting all these cells, close bracket, and hit on enter. Next is total cost. Total cost is equal to sum, open bracket, sum of all these cells, close bracket, and enter. With this, my basic sheet is ready for further analysis. Now let us challenge Excel and see if it can help us understand certain hypothetical scenarios that we create. The first scenario is, I want to find out if the quantity of items ordered by me, it is more than 50 or not. So for that, what I'll do is equal to if function, open bracket. By the way, what we can also do is when we write if, and we can see that Excel has given us 3 options over here. We can choose the option by hitting on the tab key. So now let us write further. We have if the condition is that this cell is greater than 50. And if that is so, then Excel should tell me that I have exceeded my budget. And if that is not the case, and if the number of items ordered is less than or equal to 50, then it should tell me that I am within my budget, and then that in place, I will close the bracket and hit on enter. So yes, it is telling me that I have exceeded my budget. Let us analyze this function by going to the formula bar and clicking on FX. Over here, it tells me that the logical test is the cell B16, that is the quantity of items ordered. If this condition is true, then it will tell me you have exceeded your budget. Else, if it is false, then it will tell you that you are within your budget. If we are writing any textual message in Excel as an output, we need to put it in double quotes, and that's what I have done over here. Had it been a numerical value, then we would have simply written like this. I will change the first part also. I will write 1 if it is greater than 50 and 0 if it is not. And now it has showing that I have exceeded number, so this way we can use the if function. I will just get back to the previous sentence format. Now with this basic if sentence in place, I would like to go further and find out if my total cost is exceeding my budget or not. For that, I would write a similar sentence equal to if, pressing the tab key, this particular cell is greater than 500. If that is so, I would like Excel to tell me that my total cost is exceeding, and if that is not the case, then my total cost is not exceeding my budget. Close bracket and enter. So here also, Excel tells me that my total budget is getting exceeded. I will just change this total value to 1000. So now it is telling me that the total cost is not exceeding your budget. What if we want to find out in just one cell that our quantity ordered or our total cost is not exceeding my budget? And both have different conditions. The quantity ordered, if it is more than 50, then it should tell me that it is exceeding my budget. And the total cost, if it is more than 1000, then it should tell me that I am exceeding my total cost. So, this is a classic case of an OR statement. In order to frame an OR statement, we shall write equal to OR logical 1, that is, this greater than 50, comma, because now we want to write another condition, logical 2 is this greater than 1000. For the output of this statement will be either true or a false. In our case, it is true because the quantity of items ordered is more than 50. Now, had this condition been more than 100, then this condition would have changed to false. What if I say that instead of an OR statement, I would like to know if my quantity ordered and the total cost both are more than a prescribed limit? For example, the quantity ordered is more than 50 and the total cost is going more than 1000. In that case, let us see an AND condition. We would require an AND formula and will write it this way. Equal to AND logical 1, this condition greater than 50, comma, this condition greater than 1000, close bracket and enter. And now when we will press enter, it will tell us that this is false. Why? Because although the quantity of items ordered is more than 50, the cost is not going to more than 1000. Hence the condition is false. Had this total been more than 1000, say for example 1100, then the condition would have converted to true. Now let us complicate this a little bit more. What we will do now is, we will try to write an OR statement inside an if condition. What we want to find out is, if the quantity of items ordered is more than 50 or the total cost is more than 500, then it should tell me that I have exceeded my budget. Instead of writing these two if conditions, it would be great if we could merge it in one, like this, equal to if or logic 1, is this cell greater than 50, or this cell is greater than 500. If this is true, then tell me that I have exceeded, else tell me that I have not exceeded. Close bracket, enter. So here we can see a very simple example of using an OR statement inside an if function. Similarly, we could have also put an AND function inside an if function, like this. So here it tells me that I have exceeded 50 in the quantity of items ordered and also have exceeded 500 in the total cost of items, and hence it is showing that output is exceeded. Now let us try to write a formula in which there is an if condition inside another if condition. Such kind of formulas are known as nested if. Let me create a scenario for you. I want to know if my number of items ordered are more than 50 and the total cost is going more than 500. Then I want Excel to tell me that the number of items is more and the total cost is also more. Else, if the items are more than 50 but the cost is less than 500, then it should tell me accordingly. Also, if the items are less than 50, it should tell that the number of items is less than 50. In order to write this in a formula, please go like this, equal to if the first test is whether the quantity is more than 50 or not, and if this is true, then I would like to check whether the total cost is more than 500 or not. In order to put that, we would write if this is greater than 500, then it should tell me that the quantity is more and the cost is more. Else it would tell me that the quantity is more but the cost is less. Close the bracket. And the last condition is that the quantity is less. Close bracket, enter. In our case, it is telling me, yes, the quantity is more than 50 and the cost is more than 50, and it is showing like this. We will try different scenarios. What if the total cost was less than 500, say 450? So now this condition has changed. The quantity is more but the cost is less. What if the quantity of items ordered is less than 50, say 45? So here it is showing that the quantity is less. In order to go deep inside this function and understand it, we can click this fx and it will tell us that the first condition is the B16 greater than 50. And then if it is true, then there is another if condition which says that if D18, that is the total cost, is more than 500, then it should show a particular value. And if it is less than, it should show a particular value. Else, if this condition, the first condition, is false, then it will directly go over here and it will show that the quantity is less. Like this, you can form different nested if conditions and create a formula that is desired by you. We have another interesting logical operator known as the NOT function. What this function does is, it converts a logical output, say a true statement, into false, and vice versa. Let us see how. Let's take average price of unit this time. We'll write this in NOT statement like this, equal to NOT C17 greater than 10. In this case, what it will do is, we know that it is greater than 10. So it should have been a true if we would have written an if condition. But if I hit on enter, it will tell me false. That means It is just converting a true statement to false statement and representing. This can be really useful in some of the scenarios. One may require to see what formula one has written in any particular cell. Excel has provided such a condition, and that too is a formula. For example, if I want to see what formula I have written over here, I would have to go to the top and see in the function bar. Instead of that, I could write a formula next to it, equal to formula, select formula text, select the joining cells, F23, close bracket, and enter. Here it converts the formula that was there in this cell and write it as a text. This can be very helpful in some of the cases. Let us see how to use SUMIF and SUMIFS function. What SUMIF does is, it adds up a number of cells based on one single criteria. And what SUMIFS does is, it adds a number of cells based on multiple criteria. Let us take a very small example. I want to add the total cost of all those items whose quantity is more than 5. In order to write this in a scenario, I would write equal to SUMIF, select the range, that is quantity, on which we want to put some criteria, comma, the criteria in double quotes greater than 5, comma, the column where we want to sum, close bracket, and enter. So here we can see the total cost of all the items. Let us now create a criteria in which we want to find out the sum of the total cost of all the items, where the quantity is more than 5 and the price per unit is less than 10. We will write equal to SUMIFS, open bracket. Now here there is a difference. If SUMIF we had written the summing range at the end, but for SUMIFS function we need to write this summing range first. That is, the cells that will be added up, comma, the cells on which we would like to put some criteria. So here I will select the quantity column, comma, I will put the criteria for the same, greater than 5, second, the range of cells on which I would like to put some other criteria, comma, and here I would write the criteria, say less than 5, close bracket, enter. Now here we can see that Excel is adding up all these cells wherever the quantity is more than 5, that is 1, 2, 3 and 4 cells, and the price per unit is less than 5. That is, among these cells, only the cells that satisfy the condition are these two, and hence we get the sum. Summary: you have learned logical functions and, if, not, and or, using a combination of functions, nested if functions, sum and average functions, using the auto sum button, formula text function, SUMIF and SUMIFS function, analyzing the functions using function argument window. Objectives: by the end, you should be able to use cell function to get information about cell, use other information functions like isBlank, isFormula, and isNumber, use error finding function, isError, isErr, and ifError, use the offset function, use the counter function, use the indirect function, construct dynamic name ranges, construct dynamic formulas. Today, I will share with you some functions in Excel that, if used efficiently, can give you an added advantage. Let us see them. Let us go to Formulas, More Functions, Information. Now, here is the list of functions that help us get some of the other information about some cells or some functions in Excel. Let us take the first one, that is cell. The cell function helps us find a number of things about certain cells in Excel. This shows a list of things that we can find. We can find an address or a cell or a column number of cell, color, contents, and so on and so forth. Let us see how to find address of a cell. For that, we would write equal to cell, select address from this list, comma, let's take this cell for now, close bracket, enter. So as we can see, it returned the value as B4. We could also use the cell formula to find a column number of a cell. For that, we will select column, comma, let's take this cell for now, E4, close bracket, and enter. So as this cell belonged to the E column, which is the 5th number, it returned 5 as value. Similarly, we can use this to find row number of a cell. For that, fill right, cell, row, and let's select the cell for now, C12. So as we know that since it is a cell belonging in a 12 row, the output will be 12. We can also use cell to find out a file name of the file that we are working or some other file we want to refer to. For that, fill right cell, select file name, comma, and give reference to any cell in the file. For now, we will just give reference to A1 of the same file, close bracket, and enter. So as we can see, it gives us the file name with the sheet name from where we are referring to. Let us see some other formulas. There is a category of functions under More Functions in the Information tab that start with the word is. Now these functions give us an output as true or false depending whether the condition is met or not. For example, the first one over here is blank. Now isBlank function tells us if a particular value of a cell that we have referring to is blank or not. For example, let us just double-click this and select this cell. When we click on OK, it says that it is false. That means this particular cell which we referred to is not empty. So it is not blank. Similarly, there are other functions which give us the information whether the cell is having any error or is having even number or an odd number, or the cell is a text, non-text, or a number. It also gives us an information if the cell that we are referring to has formula or not. So these functions can be used to give us certain information about the cells that we want to refer to. And you can use them in formulas to perform certain calculations based on the outcome of these functions. Now let us look at 3 error finding functions. Let me first write a VLOOKUP function. Let me find out the value that is there in region 2 for May month. Using this VLOOKUP function, for that I will write equal to VLOOKUP in quotes May, then I will select the cells, comma, column index for region 2 would be 3 because the first column is the month, second is a region 1, third column is region 2, hence I have written 3, comma, false because I want a perfect match, close bracket, and hit on enter. So it tells me that for the month of May and region 2, the value is 135. Now we have got an answer over here. What if there was some error in this function or the outcome? Let me purposely add an error over here. Instead of May, let me write May with an error, an extra Y, and hit on enter. So it gives me an error, #NA, that is not available. If I want to know that whether this formula gives an error or not, I can use this function. Is error and reference to this cell, hit on enter. So it tells me that a particular calculation has gone wrong and there's some error to it. Similarly, we can also use is_err function, where the value of the error is not of the type #NA. It can be any other type like #value, #reference, whether reference is not found, divide by 0 error, or some other errors which are mentioned over here. The third interesting error formula which help us to give an output which is logical, or in other words, if there is an error in any function and we don't want our sheet to show that error, we can put some value instead of an error using that function. Let me show you how. That function is if error. Let me select this. Let me write our function again. VLOOKUP, May with wrong spelling, comma, same table array, same column number and false as we had selected earlier, comma. Now if there is an error in this particular calculation, it should return 1. Close bracket, enter. So as we know that there was an error in this function, hence it has returned 1. If I correct this formula and write the correct value of May and hit on enter, it gives me the output as 135. So whenever there is an error, it will give me the value that I want to specify. I can also write some text over here if I don't want a numerical value for that. This is a very useful formula. Having the knowledge of functions that are placed over here under the Information tab, let us move ahead and look at some other functions which are marked under Lookup and Reference. Let us see Offset and Indirect. Offset function returns a cell or a range of cells that is specified by us to be a certain number of rows or columns away from the mentioned cells. Let us understand it with an example. Suppose if I want to find out the region 4 sales in the month of March. For that, I would write equal to offset. Let's take this reference as A3 cell, comma, how many rows down? Now, since we want to find out for the month of March, I would write 3. 3 rows down or 3 months, comma, columns. Now if I want to find out region 4, I would write first, second, third, fourth. So 4 columns away from this particular cell A3. And height and width, these two are optional over here. If we want only one cell to be returned, we would not write anything. But if we want to be specific, we can write one cell height and one cell width. Close bracket, enter. So it perfectly gives us 105 as an answer. We can use this same formula to find out any other cells from this particular table or this particular sheet. For example, now if I want to find out for the month of December for region 3, I would simply change these two values, hit on enter. That's it. I'll get my output. Offset function can also be used to calculate the sum of all these values. Let us see how. Let us write sum because we want to find out the sum. Offset. Let us select the same reference as before, A3 cell, comma, 1 row down, comma, 1 column ahead. The height would be 12 because we want to find out for all the 12 months. And the width would be 1 because it is extending only for one column. Close bracket, close the outer bracket, hit on enter. This value is nothing but sum of all these values. Let us verify it by using the AutoSum function. Hence, we can use offset and sum together to find sum of any regions over here. We only have to change this particular value, which of the column number, and we can find out sum of any of these regions very easily. Offset function can also be used to create a dynamic name range. Let us see how. Let us first write some random values. Here, I have written some values. Let me assign a name to this range of cells. I have given it name as value. Now, if I want to find out sum of this, I would write sum, value, close bracket, enter. So I have got the sum of these values. What if I want to add a value over here? But as you can see, once I have written this as sum of name range value, it does not expand automatically. If I want to expand this particular formula to extend any time I add any values over here, then I can use the offset function in the name range. Let me show you how. Let us go to the name manager, the value name range that we have created. Let us edit it. It refers to, we would write equal to offset, open bracket. Let us select the first cell over here, comma, 0 rows down because he want to start it from row 1 itself, comma, 0 columns ahead because we want to calculate in a column only, comma. For the height, we want to have some dynamism over there. Hence, the height will not be specified by numbers. Instead, we would write a formula that calculates the number of cells that have certain numeric value. And the formula for the same is count A. So we would write count A, select this column, that is A column, close bracket. And for the width, we would write it as 1 only because only one column we want to calculate. Close bracket. OK. We'll close this. And now, as you can see, the value in column C has changed. Let us try to add some more values. And some more. So automatically this name range changes as per the number of cells that I added. Now since this is a dynamic name range, if we select the cells over here, it will not show the name range in this particular box. Hence we need to be a little careful when we use dynamic name ranges. Let us now have a look at a very interesting function called as indirect. This indirect function returns the reference specified by a text string. Let me give you an example. Let me write B4 over here and let me write indirect. And let me give reference to the cell G1 where I have written B4, close bracket, and enter. So, what we see? We see that indirect function has gone to the reference G1, taken the value that was written over there, B4, searched in the sheet for the cell B and 4 and give us the output as 102. Change this value to say D11. So my indirect function will go to G1, take this value as D11, search over here and return me D column 11th row, that is 141 value. Interesting, isn't it? So we can find out any value from the cell by using indirect function and changing just one cell. Let me show you all how to use indirect function to find out sum of the sum values in this table based on my conditions. I want to find out the sum in region 2 but not for all the values. I want to specify certain range over here. For an example, let me take 5th row till 10th row. So I want to find out the values from this particular cell till this cell only, and I want to change this anytime I want. For that, let me show you how to use indirect and sum together. Let us write sum indirect. Now we want to give a dynamic reference over here. We would use, now since it is column C, we would write C in quotes, and this is used to concatenate. Let me give the reference of this cell H4, and we want colon C end quotes and reference to the cell H5. Let me explain you what I have done over here. We want to find out the values between C5 and C10, correct? So now we want C5 to be written over here is to, that is colon, C10 to be written over here. But we are using this AND so that it concatenates the value for these cells. When we hit on enter, it gives us the sum of all the values between C5 and C10. We can verify it from here 710. Now, with the change of only these cells, I can find out any values that I want between a specified range dynamically. So that's the beauty of using indirect. Summary: you have learned using the cell function to get information about the cell, information function like isBlank, isFormula and isNumber, error finding functions isError, isErr and ifError, offset function, counter function, indirect function, constructing dynamic name ranges, constructing dynamic formulas.
Column chart. Column charts are typically used to compare several items in a specific range of values. These charts are ideal if you need to compare a single category of data between individual sub-items. This chart shows the comparison of revenues between different regions for a specific period. Area chart. Now, we are going to look at the more advanced and specialized use of charts and graphs in Excel. An area chart is an enhanced version of a line chart. In this chart type, the area below the plot line is solid. Like line charts, area charts are used primarily to show trends over time. Area charts are ideal for clearly illustrating the levels of change between two or more data points. By graphically displaying the sum of the plotted values, an area chart also shows the relationship of parts to a whole. Converting line chart to area chart. Here is a line chart. Let us convert it into an area chart. Select the chart and on the Design tab under Chart Tools, in the Type group, click Change Chart Type. In the displayed window, select Area in the left pane. You can select the chart type. We will keep first as it is and click OK. Change the chart title suitably. What is regression analysis? One of the most useful forms of data analysis that Excel offers is regression analysis. In regression analysis, you explore the relationship between two sets of values to determine association. You could use regression analysis to determine things such as: are advertising expenditures associated with sales? Is cigarette smoking associated with heart disease? Is exercise associated with lifespan? Often, the first step in any regression analysis is to create a scatter plot which lets you visually explore the association between two sets of values. In Excel, you do this by using an XY scatter chart. What are chart templates? To reuse a chart that you customize to meet your needs, you can save that chart as a chart template. You can apply this template when you create a new chart, or you can change the chart type of an existing chart using the template. Templates are stored with the extension .crtx. In the default charts template folder, C:\username /users/templates/charts. Creating pivot charts. Pivot charts are like regular charts. The only difference is that they display data from a pivot table. Just like regular charts, you can select a chart type, layout, and style that is most suitable. In this worksheet, the pivot table shows the month-wise totals of each salesperson. A slicer has been created on the salesperson field. We shall create a pivot chart to see the information more clearly. Click within the pivot table. Let us close the pivot table's fields pane on the right to make some space. Now, on the Insert tab in the Charts group, click Pivot Chart. In the Insert Chart window, select the desired chart type and click OK. The pivot chart is created and you can drag and position it as required.
Now this data can also be presented in a chart format using an inbuilt pivot chart option over here. So you can represent this data by using any of the chart formats that you all want from this list. Just like this. Various analysis can be done by using charts. For example, it is very easy for me to see that there is maximum attrition in the 11th month. I can also see the count of employees that have resigned after serving 11 months of their service. And various other things can be found by studying these graphs. Hence, use of graphs is very essential in analysis of any data.
Objective. By the end of this activity, you should be able to explain how to apply conditional formatting, copy and rename sheets, color sheet tabs, add sheets, insert links. Let's now learn using conditional formatting. To do so, select the required cells, then click on Conditional Formatting. Click on Icon Sets and then select Icon Set option. Let's now learn renaming and coloring worksheet. To do so, click on Format, then click on Rename Sheet. Enter the suitable name and then press Enter key on the keyboard. Click on Format, then click on Tab Color and then select a suitable color. Let's now learn copying and pasting worksheet. To do so, click on Format, then click on Move or Copy Sheet. The Move or Copy window is displayed on your screen. Click Move to End. Click on Create a Copy. Now click on OK. Now change the data as per your requirement. Similarly, you can copy and paste other sheet. Insert sheet. The new sheet has been inserted. You can add the required data as displayed. Let's now learn inserting hyperlink. To do so, click the cell, then click on Insert tab, click on Hyperlink. The Insert Hyperlink window is displayed on your screen. Click on Place in this document, then click on Car Loan. Then click on OK. To navigate, click on FC Bank Car Loan. Summary: you have completed the activity. You are now able to apply conditional formatting, copy and rename sheets, color sheet tabs, add sheets, insert links. Quick summary: you have reached the end of the case study. In the process, you have learned to enter and format data, use the merge and center feature, apply cell shading, adjust column width and row height, create borders, insert rows, use shapes, use symbols, use formulas, insert pictures, create charts, apply conditional formatting, copy and rename sheets, color sheet tabs. Ash Robbins works in the loan department of the Financial Corporation Bank. Loan disbursement is one of the bank's major activities. The bank has decided to simplify matters of prospective customers as much as possible. Ash has been assigned the task of creating a loan calculator which will be uploaded on the bank's website. Customers can enter the loan amounts they required themselves and get instant information regarding monthly payments and interest amounts. Ash uses a spreadsheet program for this task. Let us see how he went about it. You can quickly perform detailed calculations by using formulas in a spreadsheet. We shall learn to create a spreadsheet that is used for loan-related calculations. Let us begin with a blank sheet. Enter the required data. Use the merge and center feature to create a large cell to display required information. Then adjust the width of the first column. Increase the height of the desired rows. Now apply suitable cell shading and create the required borders. Create another table-like structure by applying suitable borders. Next, insert a row at the top. Apply suitable shading and enter the required text. Create an arrow shape to indicate fields that a user needs to fill up. Format it appropriately and enter the required text next to it. Create another similar shapes. Insert the required currency and percentage symbols. Then enter the formula for calculation of various amounts. Do the same for the table below. Now insert a suitable picture. Then insert a chart at the right displaying the percentage-wise breakup of the total amount due. Format it as required and enter a suitable title. Use the conditional formatting feature to display small colored circles based on the values in the cells of the bottom table. Now enter a suitable name on the sheet tab and color it appropriately. Create copies of this sheet for other types of loans and make the required changes. Finally, create another sheet for the home page using suitable data, pictures and cell shading. Objective: by the end of this activity, you should be able to explain how to start the application, save the document, enter and format data, use the merge and center feature, wrap text, adjust column width and row height, apply cell shading, create borders. Let's now learn starting Excel. To do so, click on Start, then click on All Programs. Scroll down to select Microsoft Office folder, then click on Microsoft Office, then click on Excel. The Excel window opens. Click on Blank Workbook. The new blank workbook is open. Now we will learn to save the document. To do so, click the File tab, then click on Save. Click on Browse. The Save As window is displayed on your screen. Browse the folder, then enter the file name and then click on Save. Now we can see that the workbook is saved with new name. Now we will learn to enter data. To do so, click the required cell and then enter the suitable text. Similarly, you can insert other text. Let's now learn using merge and center. To do so, select the required cells and then click on merge and center. Similarly, you can merge other text. Let's now learn wrapping text. To do so, select the required cell and then click on Wrap Text. Notice the change. Let's now learn aligning text. To do so, click the cell, then click on Align Left, then click on Middle Align. Notice the change made to the document. Let's now learn adjusting column width. To do so, select the column, then click on Format, then click on Column Width. The column width window is displayed on your screen. Now enter value in column width and click OK. Similarly, you can adjust width of other columns. Now we will learn adjusting row height. To do so, select the row, then click on Format, then click on Row Height. The row height window is displayed on your screen. Enter the suitable value in row height box and then click on OK. Similarly, you can adjust height of other rows. Let's now learn formatting text. To do so, click the font, scroll down to select suitable font style and then select suitable font. Click on font size and then select suitable font size. Similarly, you can apply formatting to other text. Let's now learn making the text bold. To do so, click on bold. Similarly, you can make other text bold. Now we will learn to apply cell shading. To do so, select the cell, then click on Fill Color, then click on More Colors. The Colors window is displayed on your screen. Select suitable color. Now click on OK. Notice the change. Let's now learn changing font color. To do so, click the cell, then click on Font Color, click on More Colors. The Colors window is displayed on your screen. Select suitable color and then click on OK. Notice the change. Let's now learn applying border to cell. To do so, select the required cell and then click on Borders. Then click on Line Style. Then click on Suitable Line Style. Now click on Borders. Then click on Line Color and then select suitable color. Now click on Borders and then click on All Borders. Now click Outside. Similarly, you can apply borders to other cells. Summary: you have completed the activity. You are now able to start the application, save the document, enter and format data, use the merge and center feature, wrap text, adjust column width and row height, apply cell shading, create borders. Objective: by the end of this activity, you should be able to explain how to insert rows, remove grid lines, insert pictures, enter and format data, use shapes, insert symbols, use formulas, create charts. Let's now learn inserting rows. To do so, select the row, then click on Insert, then click on Insert Sheet Rows. Notice the change. Now you can format the rows as required. Let's now learn removing grid lines. To do so, click the View tab, click on Grid Lines. Let's now learn inserting pictures. To do so, click the Insert tab, then click on Pictures. The Insert Picture window is displayed on your screen. Browse the folder, then click on Suitable Picture, and then click on Insert. The selected picture has been inserted. Now drag to position the image suitably. Now click the cell. Now drag it to suitable position. Similarly, you can insert other images. Let's now learn entering other data. You can repeat the same process for entering data as we did earlier. Then click on Shapes and then select a suitable shape. Now drag to draw the. Let's now learn enhancing shape. To do so, click on Shape Fill, then click on More Fill Colors. The Colors window is displayed on your screen. Select suitable color and then click on OK. Now click on Shape Outline and then click on No Outline. Notice the change. Similarly, you can insert other shapes. Now we will learn inserting symbol. To do so, click on Cell, then click on Number Format. The Format Cells window is displayed on your screen. Click on Currency, then click on Decimal Places. Next, click on Symbol drop-down and scroll to view the appropriate symbol. And then select English United States. And then click on OK. Notice the change. We will now learn to use formula. For the same, select the cell, then enter the formula in the formula bar. And then select the interest rate. We will need to convert the annual rate to a monthly rate by dividing the value in cell E21 by 12. So type by 12 and select loan tenure cell. After selecting the cell, insert a comma. Now at last, select the cell containing loan amount and then press Enter key on the keyboard. Now let's type new formula in the cell E24. You can see a formula suggestion list as you start typing. Select CUMIPMT from the formula suggestion list. Click into cell containing interest rate. As we did earlier, we need to convert the annual rate to a monthly rate. So type pi 12 and then select the cell containing loan tenure. Then type multiplied by 12 and select cell having the loan amount value. Type 1 and then select the cell containing loan tenure. Type the remaining formula and press enter key on the keyboard. Now let's insert the total payment. To do so, click Auto Sum from Editing Group and click Sum. Select the required cells. Then press Enter key on the keyboard. You can see the total payment amount has been calculated as desired. Scroll down to see the other cell containing formula. Notice the change. Let's now learn inserting pie chart. To do so, click the cell, then press Ctrl key and then select the cell. Repeat the same process. Now click on Insert tab. Click on Insert Pie and then select suitable pie. Now scale the pie chart as per your requirement and then drag to position the pie chart suitably. Now we will learn to change the pie chart style. To do so, click Add Chart Element. Then click on Legend. Then click on Suitable option. Notice the change. Let's now learn formatting a pie chart. To do so, click the Shape Fill. Then click on More Fill Colors. The Colors window is displayed on your screen. Select suitable color. Then click on OK. Now click the text. Then click on Text Fill and then click on Suitable Color. Type the required name. Now press Escape key on the keyboard. Click on Home tab. Then click on Bold. Enhance the other text as per requirement. Then click on Design tab. Then click Add Chart Element. Click the data labels. Then select Center. Click the Format tab. Click on Shape Fill. Then select suitable color. Now click and drag the shape as required. Summary. You have completed the activity. You are now able to insert rows, remove grid lines, insert pictures, enter and format data, use shapes, insert symbols, use formulas, create charts.
Objectives. By the end, you should be able to use lookup and reference function, choose match and index, combine the match and index function for flexible output. Now we will see how to use some of the lookup and reference functions in Excel. We will see how to use choose, index and match, and also how to use index and match together. Let us start with the use of choose. Now suppose I have a sheet where there are certain number of candidates who have appeared for interview. These candidates have given written test and their interview. Their scores have been put here in the sheet, and I have arranged the data in the descending order of their total. I have a requirement that whenever I write a rank in this field, say 4th rank, the result cell should show me which particular person has the 4th rank. So in this case, the result cell should show me Krishna over here. Now in order to get this output, we can use choose function in Excel. The format of choose function is like this, equal to choose index number. Now what is this index number? It is the number of output that we are looking to get. In this case, we will write 4, comma, all the values in the order of their ranks. So we'll write quotes, Sushil, comma, Kavita, comma, and so on and so forth in this way. Now we close this bracket and hit on enter. It will give us the value Krishna. So what we have done here is we have written choose 4 and in quotes we have written all the names as per the order. This is one way of writing this formula. Another way is equal to choose by giving references. For example, choose rank column because we want to change the result as per the rank that we have input, comma, select all these candidates one by one. Now we will select this first cell, B2, comma, B3, comma, B4, and so on and so forth. Close the bracket and enter. With this, we get the same result. And it also has a benefit that whenever we change the rank, the output changes. Hence, this the better way of writing the function. Now let us see how to use the match function. Match function searches for specified value in a range of cells and returns the relative position of that cell. For example, from this list, I want to find who has got a written test score of 16. For that, I have created these cells over here. A written test score of 16, I want to find the result, that is the name of the candidate who has got written test score 16. For that, I would write equal to match lookup value, that is 16. Instead of giving reference here, I could have also written 16 as in the given case. But that would make this formula static. Hence, I would select this cell so that whenever I change the cell value, I would get a different result. I would write, comma, all these cells, comma. Now this is a match type. It's 1, 0 or -1. For the time being, we will write 0 because we want an exact match. Close bracket and enter. And here we can see the candidate with rank 3 has got a written test score 16. Now while writing this formula, we saw that the last cell can be either 1, 0 or -1. Let us understand this. -1 is for greater than, as in, whenever I write written test score is 16 and my data is organized in descending order, just the way we have done, we would get the result that is matching the greater than type. For example, here it is showing rank 3 is matching 16. What if I changed it to 17? It will give us rank 2. What Excel has done is it's returning any value that is greater than 17 in this lookup range and has returned the position of the value that is matching 17 or greater than 17. If I would have written value of 17 and last match type as 0, the exact match, the formula would have given us an error like this. Similarly, we could use match type as less than only when our data is organized in an ascending order. We had seen how to use a choose function on one column. What if I want to extend this facility of one column and extend it to my entire table? For that, I would need to use an index function. Let us see how to use it. I want a total of the candidates who have got rank 6. In this case, Saumitra has got rank 6. So we should get an output Soumitra in this particular cell. Let us see how to do it using an index function. Let us write equal to index, an array. It has two ways of writing it. We'll consider the first one, the array format. We'll select all the cells from which we can get an output. In our case, it is B2 to E8, comma, the row number. Now the row number in our case is given by the rank. So I will select this cell, comma, the column number. Now our table has 1, 2, 3, 4 columns, and we want an output of the total. Hence we will select the fourth column, close bracket and enter. So here we know that the rank 6 candidate got a total score of 21. We could also change this formula to represent a written test score by changing this column number to 2 and enter. So now we know that we can get any output from this table if we use an index function. We have seen how to use the match function and how to use index function. Now we will see how to use these functions together to get an output which is much more flexible than the VLOOKUP function. Moreover, takes less time than the VLOOKUP function. In order to use index and match function together, let us create a scenario. What I want from this entire table is whenever I write the name of the candidate, I should get the scores of the candidate. Or if I want, I should get the rank of the candidate. For this, let us write equal to index. Now I'll select the entire table, comma. For the row number, I would use the match function, match, the name, with the column where the name occurs in this table, comma, exact match, so I will put a 0, close bracket, comma, and the column number. Now for the column number, we can use any value from 1 to 5. If I want rank, I could write 1. If I want the total scores, I would write 5. For the time being, let us write 5, close bracket, and enter. So now we get an output as 29. Because the total score of Raja in this table is 29, if I change the name to something else, like Sunita, the total score of Sunita is seen in this output cell. Now, as I mentioned earlier, if I change the column number to something else, I would get a different output. Let's say I don't know the rank of this particular candidate and I want the rank of the same. So I would write column number 1 at the end of this function and hit on enter. Now I know Sunita has got rank 5 in the table. Now this particular case of searching for the rank with the name of the candidates would not have been possible by using VLOOKUP function because the rank column appears on the left hand side of the candidates column. Hence, index and match can be very useful in such cases. We can also use index and match as an array formula and give results of a nested VLOOKUP. We will see it in some other exercise. Summary: you have learned use lookup and reference function, choose match and index, combine the match and index function for flexible output.
Line chart. Excel offers many types of charts to help you display data in meaningful ways. Building a chart in itself is not very difficult. The important part is deciding the type of chart that is most useful in a given situation. Since this is an advanced Excel course, we assume you know the basics of charting. Let us have a quick look at the basic chart types. The line chart is one of the most frequently used chart types. It is typically used to show trends over a period of time. The displayed chart shows the revenues generated by various regions over a period of 5 years. Pie chart. The pie chart is another frequently used chart. It shows how something is divided up. Basically, a pie chart represents the distribution or proportion of each data item over a total value. The total value is represented by the overall pie. This chart shows the contribution of each region in the total revenue. What are sparklines? A sparkline is a tiny chart in a worksheet cell that provides a visual representation of data. Unlike regular charts in an Excel worksheet, sparklines are not objects. A sparkline is actually a tiny chart in the background of a cell. Sparklines versus charts. Sparklines have certain advantages over charts. If you have a large number of rows of data, it might be difficult to find relevant data in a traditional chart. But if you placed a sparkline on each row, it will be right next to its source data, making it easy to see relationships and trends for multiple data series at the same time. Here, you can see that the chart for 10 salespersons is quite cluttered and difficult to follow. But the sparklines allow you to clearly follow the data of a large number of salespersons. Sparklines are ideal for situations when you need a clear overview of the data at a glance and when you don't need all of the features of a full chart. On the other hand, charts are ideal for situations when you want to represent the data in greater detail, and they are often better for comparing different data series. Data in hidden rows and columns. The Show Data in Hidden Rows and Columns option in the Hidden and Empty Cells settings window is used to instruct Excel to display the values on sparklines, even if the rows or columns in which they are located are hidden.
Today, I'll show you all how to analyze data using the most efficient and powerful feature of Excel, that is pivot tables and charts. I have a data over here of employees, their gender, joining dates, resignation dates, relieving dates, the service period that they had served in months, and the program in which they belong to. With this normal data, we can analyze it in many different ways using a pivot table. Let us see how. Let us first select the entire table, go to Insert, Pivot Table. Let us say yes because we want to create it in a new worksheet, and the range is what we had selected. When we click on OK, it takes us to sheet 2 and a blank pivot table. Before beginning to select the fields for the pivot table, we need to understand what is our final goal. That is, what do we want to analyze from this data? For our first example, let us try to find out how many months has each male and female employee served. That is, we want to find out the number of months served and how many male employees have served those many months and how many female employees have served those many months. For that, we would have to select the fields from this list. So we'll take the service period total months served in rows, that is on the left hand side of the table, gender in columns, because we want to find out how many female employees have served 0 months, male employees have served 0 months, and so on and so forth for each of these. And now we'll take employee code because we want to find out how many of them are there in each of these years. But when I directly select the employee code and drag it to sum of values section in the pivot table, I can see that Excel has added, that is summed all the employee codes. But I don't want that. I want Excel to give me a count. For that, I would click this arrow, go to value field settings, select count and click on OK. So now I have the output as follows. There are 2 female employees who have served 1 month. There are 5 male employees who have served 11 months of service and 2 female employees who have served 11 months of service. Let us take one more example. Let us go back to our data, select the entire data, go to Insert, Pivot Table, let us select OK. Now the new pivot table has been created in sheet 3. This time, let us analyze how many employees have resigned from each of the programs. So our data should have the program names on the left hand side with the number of employees that have resigned in the following column. So for that, we will select the program names as rows and employee code as summation of values, because we only want the count of the employees. Again, we'll change the field settings to count. As you can see, there are many other options over here like average, maximum, minimum, product, and some which was selected by default. We can use this based on our requirement. After clicking on OK, I can see that from ABC program there were 20 employees who had resigned. From KLM program there were 2 employees who had resigned. In this way, we can analyze the data from different perspectives and arrive at conclusions. Also, it is a good way to represent the data using charts. There are many options in Excel that we can use to represent the data.
Objectives. By the end, you should be able to use the average, mode and median functions. Use Excel for area and volume calculations. Use the round down, round up and round function. Use the MOD and INT functions. Use the RAND and RAND between functions. Excel can be very effectively used to perform a number of mathematical calculations. Let us look at some of the functions in Excel that are capable of doing so. Let's consider an example. In this table, I have written a number of companies and their respective turnover. We will try to find out the average turnover of these companies. Average or mean can be calculated by adding all the values in the observation and dividing by the number of observations. In our case, we would be adding all the values. I am just using an auto-sum function and dividing this obtained value by the number of observations, that is 13. This is the average of the turnover. We could have also done this using an inbuilt formula in Excel, which is average. Let us write over here equal to average. Now these numbers could have been selected one by one, or a better way to do it is by selecting all these cells together, closing the bracket and hit on enter. Now we see that this value and this value are the same. Let us try to find out the mode of these observations. A mode is nothing but a value that has occurred maximum number of times in this data. Excel can directly find out that particular value for us. Let us write mode and select all the cells just as we did before. Close bracket and enter. From the observation also, we can see that 22,000 has appeared twice in this data and none of the other values have appeared twice, and hence the output is 22,000. Median is nothing but the central value of the data. That is, if we organize this data in ascending order, we have done from smallest to largest. Then the mid value of the observation is our median. In our case, we have 13 observations. So the median value could be 7th observation. Hence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This will be our median. Let us try to find that directly from the formula. Equal to median and select all the numbers just as we did before, close bracket and enter. So we see that Excel has very well calculated average, mode and median. Now let us see how we can use Excel to calculate area, surface area, circumference and volume. And for that, we need to know the formulas for each of these for the object that we want to calculate. Let us take an example. Suppose we want to find area of a square. We know that the formula for it is the side square. Let us consider that we got the side values as 40. So in order to find the area of this, we would write equal to, we'll select the cell which contains the side and then raise to, that is by holding on the shift key, and we'll press numerical key 6. After that, we'll write 2. So this shows that we are raising the side to the power of 2. And when we hit on enter, we get the value of area. Now similarly, we could have calculated the area of a rectangle by multiplying the length and the breadth. That is, say length is 25 and the breadth is 13. So we'll write the formula equal to selecting the cell that contains the length into the cell that contains the breadth and hit on enter. So this is how we can find the area of rectangle. Similarly, we could find out value of perimeter, volume, circumference of the object that we want to find. While performing mathematical calculations, we know that we may not get an output like this, or we may not get an output that is an integer always. We may have values in decimal just like this, 45.67249. I am just taking a random number. Now if we get such a value and we would like to use only a number of decimal places, then Excel has certain functions for that. If we want to round this digit to the lower value, then we could use round down and select the number, mention the number or digits that we would like to round down and hit on enter. So as we can see, it has round down this number to one numeric digit. We could also round down the same number to 2 digits and we get this value. What if we want to round up the number? That can also be done using the roundup function. Select the number, mention the number of digits that we would like to round up and hit on enter. We can also use round function and we can mention the number of digits that we would like to round. Now what this round function does is, it takes the number of digits that we want from the selected cell and checks the digits in the decimal place. The next digit, if it is more than 5, it will convert the previous digit, that is 4 in our case, to the next digit. Hence, it has returned 6725. If this was 4, it could have mentioned 6724 itself. So from 5 onwards, it converts the number to the next value. Now let us look at some very interesting functions, mod and int. Let me explain you by giving an example. Suppose we have time and seconds. Let's say 5:23 seconds, and we want to convert this into minutes and seconds. Now how do we go about it? One way is by dividing the time and seconds by 60. You can get the value of minutes, but this will give some fractional value also. How do we find out seconds from this? We would have to write minutes minus the part which is before decimal point and we get the seconds. But this is all in fractions. We can display this into an integer by using these buttons over here that decrease in the decimal point. But as we can see, it is not an accurate value. Excel has two very interesting functions called integer and mod list. Let us see how to use them. What integer does is, it will convert this, divide by 60, and it will take only the integer part and give us the result. That's what we wanted. For seconds, we would have to find a way to remove the minutes part from the total time and display the seconds. One way to go about it is to take the time and subtract the time taken from the minutes and get an answer as 43 seconds. There is a better way to go about this by using the mod function. Let us write mod, a number that is time, and we want to divide it by 60. Now what mod will do is, it will divide 523 by 60 and whatever is the remainder, that will be the output. So when we will hit on enter, it directly gives us 43 seconds. Hence, these functions can be very useful for certain occasions. Now let us see one interesting formula in Excel called as random. What this formula does is, it generates random numbers. If we use the formula RAND, which is a short form for random, it generates numbers between 0 and 1, that is all in decimal randomly. We can then specify the number of digits that we want to show after the decimal point by selecting these buttons over here. Every time a cell is written in this sheet, Excel will recalculate the random numbers that have generated. Now if we want to generate numbers between specific number of from and to, then that can also be done. Let me explain you by giving an example. I have some employees over here. Now these employees need to go for a particular test. Now which order should I send them? If I want Excel to generate a random number for each of these employees, that can be easily done using the rand_between function. Let us write this function over here. Equal to rand_between the bottom value and the top value. Now here my observations are only for 6 values. So I would write 1 as the bottom and 6 as the top. When I hit on enter, it is generating random values for A. If I drag this formula down, I can see that it has generated random values for each of these employees. I can use this function at places where I do not know which order I would like to take, or I want to shuffle the data that I have. This can be easily done using this rand_between function. Summary: you have learned average, mode, and median function, use Excel for area and volume calculation, round down, round up and round function, MOD and INT functions, rand and rand_between function.